April 1st snow survey that maybe some of you saw, and there was a press release in your pass-around file. Overall, state of California had 32% of normal, so they got some snow there at the last little bit, but it's still very low. Floryville's at 65% of historical average. San Luis is at 50% of historical average. It's come up just a little bit. The forecast for the Feather River Basin is dry. The next 10 days don't have any water on the horizon. As I've mentioned before, we do have carryover from last year, and we have Little Rock that's available, Little Rock water that's available. And we estimate we've been working on what our situation is this year, working with our customers. Next special board meeting will be important because it looks like we're about 8,000, maybe about 8,600 acre feet short this year. We do have a plan on how to address that with a combination of pumping schemes, wells, and purchases, but it is going to be important to kind of make some decisions and get some equipment online because some of the equipment has kind of a long lead time. So we're working with our customers, getting commitments, getting rates worked on and so forth. So it will be important to address that shortfall. Here is the Northern California, the Northern Sierra precipitation. You can see we got a couple of bumps in these last couple storms. So right now we're sitting at the third driest year on record up there. So it definitely helped us out, but it did not get us out of the woods as far as water supply. This is kind of what got us into this predicament. Here's the calendar year for 2013, and you'll notice that all these years, it shows statewide right there on I guess that's the upper left, and you can see that 2013, the rainfall was 7.0. That's like about half of what we got even in 1976. So 2013 was extremely dry all over the state. In fact, it was kind of the record breaker. And this is the calendar year. So we started out 2014 very, very low. This shows that Northern Sierra 8-station precipitation, and you can see for the water year that 2014 is down there with 1977 and 1924. Again, super dry. I mean, even though it's been a little wetter the last month or so, it just continues to just be a record breaker this year.
Before you go, can you back this? So the new dots going above those, is that what's supposed to be considered?
Those are all individual water years. And so that on the left-hand side, those are inches for Northern Sierra 8-station, that chart that I show you. Mm-hmm. So each one of those little squares is a year on record. And so you can see that 1924 was the lowest, 1977 was the next to lowest, and 2014 is right down there with quite a bit lower than the others. So it's a pretty sad story because we're not even at, halfway there. The dark blue is the department share. So, again, creeping up just a little bit, but at some point we're probably going to reach the maximum here.
What's when you see the right in the middle, just about approximately darker lines come together, it says one. Is that 1 million acre feet?
Yes.
So is that what that means? That one?
On the left-hand chart,
yeah.
Or the left-hand, yes, that's 1 million acre feet.
So Governor Brown and his people would not have dumped 800,000 acre feet of water in the ocean, knowing it was a dry year. You'd be up to about 1 million acre feet of water.
You'd be about twice where you're at right there, because I think we lost 750 to 800,000. So the total, both Bureau and the department together, so you can see it's a little above 800,000. So yeah, it would be up to 1 million. I mean,
easy number.
1.5 million anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bad timing.
Sad.
Hobby tanks and to water utility kind of levels. Again, Rosamond operators are operating a snip pump station out there. And we've got 5 new snip wells online by the end of the month, so we're continuing to get more extraction capability, and staffs continue to connect the ag wells to the West feeder. So we're really going great guns out there, John and Mike have been busy. State Water Project, I've mentioned the contract extension. And we finally came to some agreement in principle on the contract extension to give us another 50 years on the state water project contract. They're planning some workshops that they'll kind of go through what the financial impacts will be to individual contractors. The President signed, I briefed the board on or had Mike brief the board on the agreement in principle, and then have some board action to approve at least the agreement in principle. They would start the CEQA process, and then ultimately they'd have amendments drawn up, and then you again would take board action to sign or not sign.
We would write a letter to this district to ask the county to mandate an emergency 20% reduction in water for this year. I was talking to him about why we're the only country in the world that has an emergency situation and there's nothing that's come out. We're still using drinking water to wash your sidewalks, your cars, and water your lawns. And there's nowhere saying that there's any reduction. He says, if you could send me a letter asking us to cut back, I will take it from board of supervisors.
I think it's a good idea. 20% might be low.
Well,
I don't think that's our deal. That's the purveyors decide what should be done by their water supply.
Doesn't sound mandatory.
Yeah.
the problem is next week, we're not going to be able to supply them anyway, so it's better to give them a heads up now.
Well, why are we taking the heat for them not having the ability to serve their customers?
We're not going to be able to service it. We're just going to have to take a 20%.
You're passing the heat on to us that they don't have well capacity.
I was just giving you an explanation. All he's saying is that he needs to know that we're not going to be able to service them all his water. Have we put a letter to say we're actually physically not going to service all their water?
We've drafted a letter saying, asking them what their demands are and so forth, and that 8,600 that I mentioned is the shortfall if we don't exercise the programs that we've envisioned. That's what they're going to end up short. So we do have a letter drafted, and we had things ready for the board to take action on it next week. We wanted to set a rate and get a commitment from customers either you're in or out of this dry year program that we're trying to put together.
Right, but in that letter, if they don't participate, they're not going to get the water.
It's in draft form right now. We can make that clear that these are your options, I guess.
Well, what I'm getting at is if we don't put the water back in, if we don't pump the water into our system, they're not going to get the water.
They're going to be short. I mean, we are doing our best to meet demands, but we are going to be short.
Well, next week's fine, but they need to know that they're not going to.
But didn't our emergency declaration say that we weren't going to meet the needs by our emergency drought? Isn't that?
But there was no percentages. There was nothing in there. Just said we're not going to. What does that mean?
I can't recall what it said.
Yeah. But I mean, the percentages they need to come up with, because they're supposed to be the primary supplier. So, what is their well capacity and all that stuff?
We haven't told them yet. That's what we're trying to find out.
No, they have their own wells. They know what they know.
No, but they've already come to us and with their own wells. If they don't participate in the project, right, how much are they going to be short of?
They're looking to get at least 6,000 acre-feet into this plant from someone.
But I mean, we're not doing that for Forts Hill. We're not doing it for White Fence Farm. We've never ever made a qualification on how much they need to have their customers come back, because
Well, if they don't want to do it, that's fine. I just want to bring it. He asked me to ask that letter, so that's what I'm going to ask. So, but the key is, what I'm hearing is a lot of fuzzy stuff going on right now. And what I'm hearing is that if these guys don't come up with the $3.5–4 million, we're not giving them the water. So what is the percentage they're going to have to come up? They don't have the wells, they already told you. So what is the shortfall? That's what I'm asking.
Their shortfall will be about 6,000 acre-feet for this plant.
LA County Water.
Right, compared to what they were getting. How much was that last year they were getting?
They bought a total of about 31,000, so we'd be they need additional 6,000 acre-feet.
Okay, so that's...
And they're making up some of that with their own pumping.
see, that's why we can't get a deal, because they have their own pump.
But I was told that they're even with all their own pumping, they're still going to be short.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm trying to get at. Even if they've used all their wells, how much are they going to be short?
At least 6,000 acre-feet. Next week's presentation will describe a lot of this,
Okay.
a lot of the shortages. And
He did also say, did I tell you, the board, $800–900 an acre foot, he has no problem.
Well, Dan, so next week we're going to have a definitive meeting about water and touch on adjudication, things like that. Could you explain that, elaborate on it a little bit?
Certainly. This year, we're getting a zero allocation from the state of California. We wholesale state water project water, so we have to find some way to try to address our customers' needs. They're doing a lot of things on their own. They're pumping their own wells. They've reduced their take, but there is a shortfall. And we have a plan on how to address that shortfall. There's different components to that plan. We need the board of directors to kind of decide which one of these we need to implement and get input from our customers on their willingness to pay and which ones they're interested in. I think we do have a way to approach this. There is a way clear, but we do have to make some decisions as far as financing and physical facilities to be online. So it's going to be a very unusual year. Fortunately, AVEK Board of Directors purchased additional water in the last 2 years, and they have water in the ground that we can utilize. We've also got extraction capability that we're putting online even now, so it's kind of filling the gap for us. But there is some things that we need to do on a temporary basis to address this year's dry conditions.
Sure. Well, it's good to hear that the powers that be have some solutions to the situation. Is there any plan to bring in the semi-tropic rosamond water bank, take water out of there? I know some water was put in there, but I don't know how much.
Yeah, it's part of the mix. We have a portfolio of things going on, so it may be part of the solution.
So it could be possible to, as one of the things. I see. Good. Well, the mood in Sacramento, is it encouraged a little bit? And I'm referring to adjudication. What's the status there?
On the adjudication, we've been at this for, 14 years, 15 years. It looks like there may be a settlement that most of the parties can get behind. The judge actually, we had trial, a phase scheduled for this week. The judge took that off calendar because the parties said they're getting close to settlement. So he wanted to give them a little time to work on the settlement. He was going to have them come back to court and report on that.
Well, that's encouraging.
So it looks, I'm optimistic, it's looking good.
Costing everybody a lot of money, and but it's a patient issue. I know in some of these other adjudications in the state, they've been a political settlement more than the judge rapping his gavel and forcing people to do things.
I think usually judges would rather the parties try to settle it rather than have the judge make a specific decision. But it takes a lot of people working together to get these things to work out.
Sure.
And adjudications are painful, expensive processes.
Yes. Well, thanks very much for the information. Please keep us up to date.
You bet.
Yep. Thanks.